Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, I'm bringing you something that's got the entire Social Security community buzzing. And honestly, it could leave a serious impact on millions of lives. If you've been wondering where your benefits are heading, whether they'll just barely move or take a major leap, buckle up, because today's news dives straight into two critical figures, 2.2% and 6.5%. Yes, you heard that right. Two different numbers that could seriously shape the future of your Social Security payments. There's confusion, there's hope, and there's a whole lot of drama behind these percentages, and we're going to break it all down for you today. So sit tight, because what I'm about to share could change how you plan your finances for the months ahead. First, let's talk about the smaller but still significant number 2.2%. Recent projections from analysts are suggesting that if inflation continues to stabilize, and by stabilize I mean cool down more than we've seen over the past 2 years, the 2025 Cost of Living Adjustment, or COLA, for Social Security beneficiaries could land somewhere around 2.2%. Now, at first glance, 2.2% doesn't sound jaw-dropping, right? Especially when you compare it to the historic 8.7% COLA we saw for 2023. But wait, don't brush it off just yet. A 2.2% increase could still mean extra dollars in your pocket. And for those living on fixed incomes, every single penny matters. It could be the difference between affording a few more grocery items, covering rising utility bills, or finally having a little breathing room for the unexpected. However, and this is where things get even more interesting, there's another number floating around that's turning heads. 6.5%. Some economic forecasts are warning that if inflation suddenly spikes again, triggered by ongoing global conflicts, supply chain issues, or sudden shifts in domestic policies, the COLA adjustment could end up being dramatically higher, potentially in the 6.5% range. Now, imagine that. A 6.5% boost would be a game changer. Could mean several $100s more per year for the average retiree, and even more for those receiving higher Social Security checks. It's a massive difference compared to the more modest 2.2% projection. But why is there such a wide range between these two numbers? That's the million-dollar question, and the answer lies in one word: uncertainty. Right now, inflation is playing a risky game. Some months show it cooling off nicely, giving retirees hope that prices will stabilize. Other months, reports come in hotter than expected, throwing predictions into chaos. And remember, the Social Security COLA is based on the third quarter Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, the CPIW. That means July, August, and September inflation data will be absolutely critical in determining what your increase will actually look like. As it stands today, inflation is showing signs of resilience, meaning it's stubbornly sticking around, but at lower levels than the crisis points we saw back in 2022. Some experts are even suggesting that while we might avoid a recession, prices may not fully deflate to pre-pandemic levels anytime soon. That's where the cautious 2.2% estimate comes from. If the Federal Reserve succeeds in keeping inflation slowly ticking downward, a lower COLA will follow. But if the economy gets rocked by unforeseen shocks, and let's be honest, it doesn't take much these days, a 6.5% COLA is not out of the question. Now, let's talk real-world impact. What would a 2.2% bump really mean for you? For the average retiree receiving about $1,900 per month, a 2.2% increase would translate to roughly $41 extra per month. Over the course of a year, that's about $492. Not bad, but certainly not earth-shattering, especially considering rising costs in healthcare, food, and housing. Compare that to a 6.5% increase. That would mean approximately $123 more per month, or nearly $1,500 extra annually. Now that's a noticeable difference. That's real money that could help bridge the gap between struggling and feeling secure. And this next part is where it gets emotional, because for many people it's not just about statistics or percentages. It's about dignity. It's about having the ability to age with some comfort, to face medical bills without terror, to maybe visit a grandchild or simply fix that leaky roof that's been getting worse every year. The conversation around COLA adjustments isn't just technical. It's deeply personal. These numbers represent whether someone can afford medication this winter, or if they'll have to choose between heating their home and filling their fridge. Let's be clear. The Social Security Administration isn't setting these numbers out of kindness. COLA exists because inflation erodes the buying power of benefits. Without these annual adjustments, retirees and disabled individuals would slowly but surely be pushed into deeper poverty as costs rise year after year. So, when we talk about whether it's going to be 2.2% or 6.5%, what we're really asking is, will Social Security keep up with the real cost of living? Now, behind the scenes, there's even more drama unfolding. Some lawmakers are pushing for major Social Security reforms, including ideas that could affect future COLA calculations. There are proposals floating around that suggest tying COLA not to the CPIW but to something called the CPIE, the Consumer Price Index for the elderly. Why? Because older Americans spend a greater portion of their income on healthcare, and the CPIE better reflects those costs. If something like this passes, and that's still a big if, it could mean bigger COLAs permanently. But as of right now, we're still stuck with the old system. And let's not forget the looming issue of Social Security's solvency. You've probably heard the warnings. If Congress doesn't act, the trust funds that support Social Security benefits could start to dry up within the next decade. That threat adds even more pressure to these yearly COLA discussions. Because here's the cold reality. Without strong, strategic action from leaders in Washington, today's retirees might find themselves squeezed tighter and tighter each year, regardless of whether they get a 2.2% or 6.5% boost. So where do we go from here? Right now, it's a waiting game. All eyes are on the monthly inflation reports, especially the crucial ones coming this summer. By late September or early October, we'll get the official word on the 2025 COLA. Until then, beneficiaries are stuck between hope and anxiety, wondering which side of that percentage line they'll fall on. Friends, this issue hits home for so many of us. Whether you're already retired, nearing retirement, living with a disability, or simply concerned about the future, the fight over COLA adjustments is your fight too. It's about basic fairness. It's about protecting the dreams of those who spent a lifetime building this country. A 2.2% increase may seem small on paper, but it represents real lives, real struggles, and real victories. A 6.5% increase could be a lifeline. It could be the difference between surviving and thriving. Thanks for spending a few moments with me today to dive deep into this crucial issue. I know it's not always easy to hear about the uncertainty, but knowledge is power, and together, we'll be ready for whatever comes next. If you found this breakdown helpful, please don't forget to share it with friends and family who might also be wondering about their Social Security future.